Hello. Good evening. Bonsoir. Ah! You knock one knife over and the whole thing comes down like a house of cards. Okay, hang on. There we go. It's like, why are these cords all tangly tangled? Tangly cords. Let's get that fixed. And get that connected. Let's get connected. Let's get everything set up. What's wrong with me? I come in here to doodles for you, and just don't have anything ready to go. What is wrong with me? So I figured I was actually working on this, trying to get it done before stream, and then took some time away from working to have a pleasant conversation with my father about rock anthems that define generations. It was a good talk. Good talk. Anyway, I was working on the Taco Viking variant for this month because I had done one here, and I really like this, but he's too spoopy. He doesn't have the right vibes for our cryptid campout. So my thought was, what if I make a little Cthulhu cryptid campout camp counselor variant for this month as the Taco Viking variant. I thought that would be fun. And like I said, I had planned to actually get it done before stream, so I didn't work on it on stream. But it didn't work out that way. So I'm going to finish it up real fast just to kind of work as a bit of a warm-up and see if I can't get that working again. See if I can't get my captions working again. Silly captions. Always breaking themselves. Boop boo doo doo doo. Are you working now? I don't know. I don't know why the captions thingy keeps cutting out. It drives me bananas because it doesn't make any sense why it turns off and turns on and turns off and turns on. So I apologize for all of that bit that just wasn't captured because it just turned itself back on for no reason. Anyway, let's finish this up. We'll finish this up and call it a warm-up. It's just a fun little variant of the Taco Viking. Actually, gonna make this bigger brush here. More curvy. Like that. I like curvies. Little face tentacle beard. It's kind of less directly Cthulhu inspired and more Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean inspired, which, as we all know, was very heavily Cthulhu inspired. So Cthulhu influenced, perhaps, is the term. Cthulhuenced. But that was the idea was more having these face tentacles as a beard and mustache for the Taco Viking logo, the way it is used on Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And then we'll just do like some little stripies. You gotta do little stripies sometimes. That's just all there is to it. That's how you know if it's wrinkly. Sorry, that made me smirk because I've been watching there is a YouTuber, Instagram video short reels maker who is absolute genius, brilliant, very talented artist who does very very creative art in the tutorials on how to do things like veiny yams or otters, you know, things like that, like how to make your mushroom look mushroomy, or do different types of turtlenecks. And their videos are hilarious. I think they're actually brilliant. It's actually really good art tutorials on like rendering and things. But and then we'll come across here for the what would normally be his helmet is gonna be like a Captain Ranger's hat. And then I'm gonna come down like this. I've got this vision in my head that just popped into my head. It wasn't there when I did the sketch. So we'll see how it goes. I don't normally like working entirely off the seat of my pants, but we'll see. So like, what if we did some like Zora style sea monster fish ears instead of people ears? Like that. And then I'm actually going to bring the brim of the hat down more. And my thing here is I want it to be like a cowboy hat kind of thing. I don't want to invoke like pirate hat. That's not what I'm trying to do it for. I'm trying to go for like camp counselor, park ranger hat. And maybe the problem is I don't think I'm looking it up. I'm looking up park ranger hat because I think where I'm screwing up here is in my head. A park ranger hat has a little thing out of the front, like you know, some hats do, but I think they're not. I don't think they actually do. So I'm looking up some images of park ranger hats. That's what we're gonna pull it up, see what we can find, see how it goes, see what's going on here. Man, for having a pretty decent up and down speed, actually. Oh yeah. They're not rounded at all. They're like Mountie hats. So that's what we'll do. We'll do a Mountie hat. So we'll bring this out like this. Yeah, that's the ticket. And then still has a band, which is nice. And a little nipple point like that. There we go. Now we're looking like a park ranger, like a camp counselor might look. So we can come in here and do some vector trimming to move, make sure that the brim of this hat is showing as behind the ears. You didn't know so much stuff went into designing a cheap logo knockoff, did you? And I was going to put a little black circle here to show the opening. All right, and then Mountie. And then we'll do a little badge. What is the badge for? We don't know. It's a camp counselor badge. It's just a little badge on his hat. Actually, I'm going to make these lines thicker. Little hat badge. And then from here, we'll add the horns, because without the horns, it just doesn't work as the logo variant, right? Like that's it. You got to have the horns and the taco. But what if? Okay, hang on. Bear with me here. I might have to come back down to my sketch layer real fast and work on the sketch part. Because what if instead of horns, we brought these out and around up like this, right? Like we normally would. But then we like made them antlers. Something like that. That could be a lot of fun, I think. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to do it. And I'm actually gonna bring my little connector points so I know where I'm shooting for here. And then we're gonna go up and around and like that. So little taco Viking antlers instead of horns. Because moose are cryptids and do not exist. Right, now I'm gonna thicken. I got some thinner line art over here that needs a little more weight to it. I'm gonna go ahead and goosh that up while I'm annoyed by it so I don't forget. Just gooshing that up a little, thicker lines. We're gonna do the same over here. I'm gonna bring it inside and use it almost like a shadow black here. So the lines change weight as they go up. Like that. Maybe the same here. Like so. And then actually on the outside of this, like across here, because the shading is not on the top tendril, that's on the ones underneath. And then of course we'll put in these eyes. Eyes that have seen too much, know too much, lived too much. I like a little tiny pupil on something like this because like a little tiny pupil is like, I've seen it all and my mind has been exploded. So I like to use a little tiny pupil. And then we'll just come in here and we'll make a bigger brush for this. We'll just do this the fast, easy way. We'll come in here like so. And just build a little taco body. Take this brush back down. And then here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that now in the original Taco Viking logo, it's really abstract, like circle shapes to do like lettuce and tomatoes. So what if I did something similar, kept it relatively simplified line art, but did like these little like sucker eye shape things. And then just like brought out like outer line, this little undulaty. And then it's like a little eldritch eyeball stew on the taco. Little eldritch taco. Eldritch taco. Eldritch taco. Speak not of the eldritch taco. Knowledge of the eldritch taco is dangerous. I'm putting eldritch taco on the wheel. I'm actually going to do that right now. Now would actually, if you are interested in adding something to the wheel of random requests, now would be a good time to do that. We will be definitely working on requests by the end of the night tonight, doing some wheel stuff. I only have one other design to do for the sticker pack, the Not Deer Archer. So, like I said, tonight would be a good night. Now would be a good time to add to the wheel of requests. It actually has to be visible in order to add it. Okay, so Eldritch Taco. And I actually have some things on my notes. While I'm here, I got some stuff on my notepad notes. I might as well go ahead and add them to the list because I'm already in the list. Let's see. There we go. Those are all the stuff from the market suggested, recommended, or requests. So that's added to the list. Okay, so I got the list updated, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. All right, let's finish up this guy and then work on our not deer. Not deer. So I'm just gonna, again, thicken some lines here. Almost like shadow shaping. Because why not? It's fun. This is actually like, this is one of those things. So like the line weight variance, like shaping things, is very much a signature of the style I want to get better at, along with hashing. So I'm going to do some of that too, just for fun. And it's all part of something I really do want to get better at in the long run. And I really enjoy doing it. It's something like therapeutic about the absolute, like, madness of this very exacting process that I love. I just dig it. Here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go like this. I'm just going to turn this. Again, details that no one will ever notice probably on a sticker. Especially there where I did them way too small. Come in here. And do this one with these like curving with the little fold in the hat. Oh, I could do this all night. I don't want to spend that much time on this logo variant because it's something that's like a one and done thing, but it's so much fun doing it. Now let's color it in. Let's do some color. We're gonna do 2 layers extra. And then we have all the colors we need. Because this top swatch here, the one that just has swatches and it just has this top swatch, that is actually my Taco Viking logo color palette. It is all of the colors used in the Taco Viking logo. So, it makes it easy when doing variants because I know exactly which ones I've used for what. And we'll do a dark green. Oops, I did the dark green. I need to do a light green. Light green. For these fin thingies. One color that I did not steal, and it might actually be the same green. I think I did use the Taco Viking green for it. I just want to make sure the hat is the same color as the Scouts, which now means the green of the skin is the same color as the hat. So we'll do like the bright green on the skin. It is fine. This is, you know, they're all flavors. They're all tested to be harmonious together. And then do yellow on this headband and the taco shell, of course. And then I'll do the dark green down here again. And I don't have a purple in my swatch patch for the logo. But we're sitting at 93 plus 180 would be 173. Should give me a good... Ooh, that's not gonna work. No, it's 273. 270. Duh. As I give me a nice purple that will be the opposite of the green. That's a little too dark. So what I'll do is I'll actually just brighten that up. So that pops. Just let it pop. But purple is a complementary opposing color to green. That's why they put purple and green together so often in things like this. And also because purple and green are bruise colors, they make you slightly uncomfortable as a person and therefore work great for horror. Mwah, 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 mwah. And then just a base 80% shadow on the logo. And we're going to really dive into some cool stuff here, I think, on this logo. I'm going to do this eye as like very, very sunken. Honestly, this is the other part. Like, I really love doing shading and depth. And it's something I used to like avoid because I thought I was terrible at it. So I would just generally avoid working on like my shadows and highlights and be like, I don't need them. It's fine. I'm doing little sticker doodles. It's nothing. But it really adds to the image. And it's something like once I started actively doing the exercises that people always told me to do, it was something that I feel like I learned some basics of fairly quickly, and I'm now just slowly developing my skill at. And I find it very meditative and enjoyable to do this little cell shading. Like I said, I'm getting there with the hashing on inks, which is great for me because that's what I've always, the style I've always wanted, is all black and white inks. And I will get there someday. I will master that. I will learn to do exactly what is in my head. I want what's in my head to come out. And I'll get there. Yes, I'll get there. Because I already feel like I've already gotten a lot better at it. Like, it's one of those things where it seemed super ridiculously hard at first, and it's getting where I'm able to not necessarily pull off what I'm trying to pull off, but grok why I wasn't able to and how to make it better. So I'm kind of hoping by like combining these two techniques, I get a double layered shadow without actually having to do a double layered shadow in the art, like without actually doing multiple tiers of cell shading. That's kind of what I was hoping this technique would work. And this is a great, these little projects, these little tiny things that mean nothing. I guess they don't mean nothing, but like that have no pressure on them for like client work. or even for that matter, the logo variants are just something I do for myself as a little bonus for the Patreon. It's not actually part of the Patreon promise. So it's a great place to experiment with exactly this kind of technique that I'm not always super familiar with, and get better practice doing it. During the market season, I don't always spend as much time as I probably should doing my own personal projects, because I put so much effort into the market stuff. It takes up a lot of time. I probably need to be better at that. And these are the types of places where your personal projects is where you're supposed to experiment a lot. And then really, honestly, that's what Daily Zombie is for. But there we go. I like this. This is good. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Like, this came out perfectly in my head, the way I wanted it to in my head. I'm very happy with this. So, all right. Excellent. Excellente. All right, so we've got now our Taco Viking logo variant. And I liked this guy so much. And he was such a, like, stylized great thing. I think I'm going to try to do some more art in that style for a later Patreon pack. I'm thinking maybe some, like, almost like Akuma Samurai Jack inspired demon type art, maybe later in the year. Maybe closer to spoopy season. Maybe for spoopy season. Maybe outside of spoopy season. We don't know. We'll see. Anyway. I like what I did with that, the little Cthulhu camp counselor Taco Viking. So let's do our not deer. And I did like how I last on Monday night when I was working on the Dover Demon, I put up a picture so that everyone can know exactly what I was like talking about. And I think that helped people understand and like learn a little bit more about the cryptids that I was drawing. So I'm definitely going to work pulling up another like not deer image for the not deer cryptid, because the thing about the not deer is it's like a deer but not. Like, that's literally its whole shtick. Like, people are like, this is a deer that's not quite right. It's a deer drawn by AI. You know, and not modern AI where the uncanny valley is there but not completely noticeable. Like AI from like 2018. From Dolly 1. That's what the not deer is. It's a deer made by Dolly 1. So I'm just trying to get these stickers to the pictures to load. It's weird that my frame rate is telling me it's red, but I had like 4800 kbps. Kbps. It's weird how slow my internet is with such a high connection speed. I'm actually not able to get any. Screw it. I'm not going to be able to put one up. They're loading too slow. But the thing is, it's like, imagine a deer that is not a deer. Like, it's melted. It's something pretending to be a deer, but not quite there. And then we're going to take it on top of that. Leo, how's it going? Hope you're having a good night. You missed out. I did a warm up. Mostly I did a thing I was working on before stream and didn't finish. I made the Taco Viking variant to go with the sticker pack. I really like it. I had done one before that I also really like, but doesn't have the same vibes. So I am holding off on holding on to this one and probably do something different with this art style later this year because I really like this, but it has a little bit more of a creepy vibe than our camp counselors do. So I wanted something a little more fun and cartoony. So he's their camp. The campers have to have a camp counselor, and that's this antlered Cthulhu taco Viking. But we are ready to work on the not deer. Not deer. And I need an archery pose. Archery pose. Thank you. I really like them both. I fully plan to do something in this style, like maybe an entire Patreon theme in this style with this like curled bitonal art design. I really like it. It's very like Japanese demon Aku from Samurai Jack vibe. I feel almost very Dark Sun kind of thing. So I'm hoping I can hold on to scary on the second. It's got a feel. It's got the feel I want. Why is my internet so dang slow? It's like my browsers are slow. Like I said, my connection shouldn't be running this slow. Windows is probably doing something illegal in the background. Oh, there's a Chrome window open in the background. Close that. I don't know why there would be anything from Chrome open. So we'll start with a head. We know we're going to need a head. And I know, because I know how to hold a bow, that our shoulders are going to be roughly parallel, and that the bow arm is going to be out, and the arrow arm is going to be pulled back to the ear. So we know that's going to be our ear. We know this is going to be basically 3/4. Ooh, I finally got some literally pose reference for archery pose. And then this elbow will come back, and elbow, mark a little elbow. And this is the basics of an archery pose. Like this. So that makes shoulder to shoulder. And that gives us a little chest. Again, turn mostly. Actually, the chest will be turned mostly forward. Yeah, you're running good on the stream. That's my OBS is like literally telling me I have really high bandwidth. But for some reason, my browsers are just not like wanting to load anything. And it could just be that I've given OBS all my bandwidth. So, and then little legs, knee, and down. Like so, and down. This is basically an archery pose, more or less. So now I need to turn this archery pose into a not deer. And I think one of the things I'm going to start by doing, stretch him. Stretch his proportions funny. And then we'll do a horn would be here. So another one would be there. And then the third one will be there. And then we'll just draw like so. And like so. And then here's the thing, like One of the things about the knot deer is oftentimes it's depicted as having its eyes on both sides of its head, which would not make sense for a prey animal. But we're going to go ahead and do that. It's like there. And then we'll have like a deer snout, muzzle, deer muzzle come out this way. Eyes folded in concentration. And then deer are horse-like in nature. So they've got horseback legs, deer back legs. And I think that means they are digigrade. So I've got to change the shape of the way the leg is functioning here. Yeah. So like a human leg is hip, knee, ankle, foot, right? Like that's how our legs are shaped. We are the opposite of digigrade. A digigrade creature is like hip, knee, ankle, foot. So they stand literally on their digits. That's why they're called digigrade. A deer is a digigrade creature, so donkeys are also digigrade creatures. So we're gonna do hip, knee, ankle, foot. Kind of almost like a fawn is kind of like a fawn is a goat person, but also a digigrade creature. It's almost like they have two knees and one of their knees is backwards, but really it's because their ankle is way up on their body. So we'll do like this. And then I'm just going to have like hoof hands over here. So just like, how is this deer holding the bow? We don't know. It's not a deer. And then of course, camp t-shirt. So that's my rough sketch there. So let's try to do a cleanup sketch. Let's see if we can't turn this blob of lines into a drawing. We'll start with this hoof. So I'm just gonna draw a little hoof. Ooh, yeah. They have a they do not have a cloven hoof. They don't have a cleft hoof. Yes, they do. They do have a cleft hoof. So that gives us 1, 2 little fingers. And then little fur. And back across like this. And then t-shirt. Like so. There. And then the only thing in this image I definitely do not need a reference to draw is going to be this arrow. And I am going to give it like a full arrowhead, even though if it's doing archery at summer camp, it's going to be using a target arrow. But that wouldn't read well if I came in here and was like, target arrow, even if I made it a pointy one, wouldn't necessarily look like an arrow on a sticker. So we'll do like a big overly sized arrowhead. Like so. No need to show how it's attached. That's not necessary. Also, for the same reason as this is because it's a sticker. It's gonna be small, so it needs to have oversized pieces to read. We'll do oversized fletching like that. And then down here, I'm pretty sure deer hooves don't work this way, but I'm gonna actually have it so like this other long is like hooked around, like so it's like hooked around like it would be if it was fingers, you know, hooked. I don't think that's how hooves work at all, but it's not a real deer, so we don't have to actually worry about that. Then we'll draw in the bow. Ooh, and you know what? It'll be easier to draw this bow in if I come over here, turn on symmetry, and we're going to just move the guide up here so it's centered on the arm already. And then just draw on a bow. This is a real fancy bow. Actually, you know what? Let's give it a little bit more pull. Give it a little more pull, a little less fancy. I learned recently that the axe-looking head is traditionally for practicing shooting because when it hits the grass, it pops up instead of going into the grass. The axe-looking head. The one that looks like this. The cutter head. Oops. Yeah, the bullet tip, like head that most arrows have these days. Like if you go and do archery, it'll look something like this. So the bullet tip head is actually called a field tip because it's used in track and field. It's used specifically for shooting into a target. Like a modern day target, not a traditional target. And usually in like hay bale targets. And in that situation, you want good penetration so that the arrow doesn't bounce back out when the next arrow hits, but you don't want super deep penetration, but the fletching is going to serve for the most part to slow the arrow down. Also, you don't use, for most field archery, you don't use like 130-pound pull bow. Like this knot deer is probably using like 35 to 40 pounds tops, 25 to 35 really. That's when if you look up like a Boy Scout bow, it has like a top weight like 35 pounds. So yeah, one of the things about the knot deer, and this is representing the way I want to do. One of the cool the ideals behind the knot deer is that like you can tell it's not a real deer because its eyes are on the same side of the head. So that's what I'm going to try to draw, and we'll see how well I'm able to depict that. Also, apparently, if they open their mouths, they are full of sharp, pointy teeth. So I'm just going to give him some little teeths coming down from his mouth ridge. Almost like this deer is actually a wolf pretending to be a deer. And then I want both eyes actually pointed the same direction. What if I... Hang on. Let's look at... Squirrel, how's it going? I hope you're having a good night. Deer eyes. Let's see if I can't find a good reference image of an actual deer eye for this not deer. In the meantime, I'm gonna come back. We'll come back to that. I'll come back to the eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and finish drawing. Its head needs to be more squared off than that. Drawing a head. Not that squared off. There, that's better. That's more like what I'm looking for. Finish drawing the head, and we'll go ahead and draw in these 3 antlers. Wolf and deer clothing. That's kind of the idea of the not deer, and it's something that comes up with a lot of modern cryptid stuff, like SPC type stuff, is the idea of a predator that is almost real. It's like the idea behind how did we get the uncanny valley, right? So like the concept played with in science, sci-fi and dark horror, dark sci-fi and horror, is this idea that like humans are naturally freaked out by things that look almost real but not quite real. And there's the only reason, for the most part, like when we are freaked out about something as a species, like so commonly that it's able to be identified that way, it's because there was a threat at some point in our evolution that those traits evoked. So like, as I was saying earlier, green and purple are complementary colors. They're on the opposite sides of the color wheel, so they work well together. But also like sickness and bruising causes green and purple marks on the skin. So collectively, we're all just a little bit uncomfortable by green and blue or green and purple combinations, which is why they get used a lot for things like mutagens and horror and stuff like that, like mutagens and sci-fi and horror. So the idea that has really become pervasive, especially in like the SPC communities where people are creating their new crypto creatures, cryptids, is that like the uncanny valley has to bother us for a reason, and that reason has to be a threat to our existence. So that probably means there are predators out there that look almost like people or almost like deer. Growing up, I knew this Indian guy whose whole business was making traditional arrows. He was a family friend, and I got some of the best arrows I have ever shot for very cheap. Handmade arrows are almost always worth it. If you learn some basic fletchery, you can make your own arrows for a really low price and have way better arrows than you can buy at the store. I learned a lot of what I know about fletching and bowyery from when I worked at the Renaissance Festival. I worked with a bowyer and fletcher on his archery line. So not a lot, like I didn't apprentice or anything. I didn't actually like study under him, but when you're around it enough, you pick up some things just by osmosis. So, and then we'll come to, it's our bowstring, and again, both eyes on the same side, and apparently deer, really big pupils that are quite reflective. So I think that's our deer head for our not deer. And I apologize to anyone that I just geeked out on that is not interested in learning this stuff. I love this stupid, weird crap. It's my passion is knowing stupid things. Not stupid, just not necessarily useful in the most practical sense of the word. But that's why I'm here. That's why I do this. That's why I draw pictures on the internet for a living, is because my passions are not necessarily practical in the eyes of society. There is one little deer leg. And just gonna try some 2 little deer legs. That's not bad, actually, from where I'm going with this. Not exactly as cute and childlike as our other dudes. So maybe what I need to do, when in doubt and trying to make something cute, you can always make the eyes bigger. So maybe a little bit more like that. I'm going to try it anyway. We'll try cleaning some of this up in the inking. See what we can do from here. Where can we go from here? Since we're already in the inking on this one, worth pointing out, after this image, I will be spinning the wheel. So if you want to add something to the wheel, now would be a good time to do it. There's quite a bit of stuff on the wheel right now, but there's always room for more. And once something is added to the wheel, it stays on the wheel until it is drawn. So go ahead and throw it in chat if you would like to see something get added. I'd be happy to draw it for you once we spin it. As of right now, I don't have any formal plans to work on any particular projects next week. So, next week might be a wheel heavy week. We'll see. Might also be a really good chance for me to get ahead on some other stuff. So maybe we'll work on something ahead of time, like July Patreon, but probably not. If push comes to shove, I'll just go back to work on the coloring book. We did the letter O, so we're on the letter P now. I'm closing in on the bottom half of the alphabet. Looking forward to getting that project done and getting those made. My early prototypes made for like a color zine. Okay. Let's start under the assumption of big eyes. So we'll start there. We'll start with 2 big eyes on the same side of the face. And that'll give us a little bit more consistency, childish type stuff here. This goofy looking dude. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with 2 big eyes. And then we'll do a little reflective pupil section, because that's what deer seem to have. Deer seem to have very reflective eyes. Like, I'm looking at a bunch of images of deer eyes, and they're all very dark color pigmentation in their eyes with a lot of highlights, because it seems to have like a lot of reflection. And then we'll do a pupil. Pupil. And iris. So And then we'll actually make sure this points out that this deer has another half of a head. So back over here, like so. Boop 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 doo. Wah. And then teeth. Everybody likes a good sharp pointed fanged deer. They make ambidextrous bows now that shoot down the middle, and then you can shoot ball bearings out of them. I want one. The other thing you could get, if you just want to shoot ball bearings from your bow, I recommend not getting a bow at all. Because I would say that rather than getting a bow that is just functionally, it sounds exactly like what you're getting is a slingshot with an archery ring. With giant arms on it for some reason. And you can get a really good slingshot that with an archery ring, so it'll hold an arrow. So you can fire an arrow out of a slingshot if you didn't know that. For very little cost. And they're very practical for lots of reasons. You can use them to hunt game, both for food and pleasure. You can even hunt the most dangerous game of all, long pig. Boo-doo-boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Not a deer. Do you think the not deer would be like, no, dude, guys, I really am a deer. It's cool. I'm a deer. You're safe. I'm not going to eat you. Deer are herbivores. We don't eat people. Let your guard down. I'm totally just a deer. What do you mean, why am I unhinging my jaw? This is what deer do. So we can eat berries. You don't need to worry about it. And again, totally not the way hooves work, but I'm making it work. What do you mean, why is my tongue 4 foot long? You don't need to worry about it. That's just normal deer behavior. Big oversized fletching. Big oversized fletching. Also, this arrow only has 2 feathers on it, which some do, but not for field archery. Alright. So, the not deer must be a very advanced archer. He's using a bow or arrow with only 2 feathers on the fletching. And a tip that is nowhere near what would be appropriate for field archery at a summer camp. Cheating with the symmetry grid. Oh, I adjusted where he was, and now I have to adjust the symmetry line. There we go. Cheating with the symmetry grid guide. Cheating with the symmetry guide. Turn off the symmetry guide because now we're done with it. Symmetry guides can be fun. Hooves! I like how the hooves are the arrow rest. Thank you. I literally was thinking to myself, I know hooves don't work like fingers, but what if I pretend like the cleft hooves are two fingers, and that's the only way he had to hold the bow? How would that look? That's what I was thinking there. Also, this deer is not very good at archery, so I'm gonna fix that. If you know, you know. When holding the arrow on your bowstring, it should cross the bow towards your body, because the way your natural curl of your fingers works to twist the tightened bowstring will pull it away. It will cause it to rotate out, basically, always, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. For me, I'm right-handed, so it would rotate clockwise out. But if I was left-handed, it would rotate counterclockwise out. Just the way your finger pulls on the strung bowstring. So you cross the bow, so as you pull it, it actually pulls itself up tighter to the bow rather than away from it. So that's what I just did just there, was made that bow on the outside of the arrow instead of on the inside of the arrow. Like I said, if you know, you know. And now you know. Dear watcher, viewers at home learning about deer archery for the first time from Cryptid Summer Camp. I will say I've had a lot of fun with this theme. It's different than what I've been doing, which is nice. I feel like the last, actually, I will say, the April robots really felt like I was coming back into my element again and experiencing joy doing the Patreon themes. As much as I really liked the creatures that I made in the Revenge of the Smorlock sticker set, and I really liked the design of the creatures, like, don't get me wrong, I thought they came out great. I felt like the concept for the pack was lazy. And rushed, because it honestly was. I didn't feel good about it. And I wasn't super happy with the art for the Cake Pyre Records pack. I just don't think it came out as good as it could have. But I do feel like now I'm back in the zone and feeling this sticker pack. And I did some work on some pieces today that I won't show on stream, but you can go check them out in the back alley section of the Discord. That the art itself is not necessarily my normal flavor, but I feel like it's well done. It's not necessarily everyone's taste of subject matter, but I feel like the art just feels good to have, like, the work I did on it feels good. Even if it makes people uncomfortable to look at it. Maybe especially because it makes people uncomfortable to look at it. But, like, not in a fun, wholesome, this art says something about the universe so it's uncomfortable to look at, but more in the, like, what is wrong with you? Uncomfortable to look at. And for anyone who's already been to Discord and is wondering which one I'm talking about, I'm of course talking about the rabbit. Or as I referred to him when explaining the art to someone, the "We've got Bugs Bunny at home" sex joke card. I thought it turned out good. I actually I liked it so much I'm going to make it into a sticker too. But I don't feel like I should take responsibility. Basically, a lot of people have been pressuring me into sharing some of my more adventurous art with the world, especially so they can buy it. And I've been hesitant to do so because, well, frankly, I draw little cartoon dudes. And a lot of the attraction to little cartoon dudes is they're cute little cartoon dudes. And that brings over quite a few children a lot of the time. A lot of children come to my booth and check out my art. And I take that as a responsibility. Like, I have a responsibility to not corrupt the innocent. Especially as a broken, flawed, horrible monster human that I am. But a lot of people have been pushing me to get their hands on the broken monster person. The tongue on the rabbit is what makes it weird. That's why I did it. I did it to make you uncomfortable. I don't know. In the past, and this is something that is advice I would give anyone, but I often forget for myself. In the past, I've always been most successful with any type of creative endeavor when I am just 100% genuinely, openly, radically, transparently me. And that's not to say I haven't been being me. But I've been a little bit of a washed down, slightly less weird, slightly less terrible human being version of me. So I'm gonna open the floodgates and we're gonna see what happens. But I wash my hands of responsibility. You all release the Kraken of chaos, and you never knew what was gonna come out. Hopefully you will not regret your actions. Anyway, there's gonna be a lot more back alley merch on the website and available at the market pretty soon. So I hope you enjoy it. Also, I put up a poll on the Discord to see if people would like me to do a back alley stream where I do art that's a little more inappropriate for children, like a rated R stream. It still wouldn't go past rated R on Twitch. But there's an option to say, no, we want to do this. We want you to do an adults only stream, and we want you to do it on Discord where things can get a little freaky. And if that happens, what I'll do is I won't necessarily add a day to the stream schedule, because honestly, right now I can't afford to give up door dashing on those days and making some money. But what I might do is on Saturday night, instead of calling the stream at 10, I will switch to the back alley stream, and we'll change the settings. We'll say this is an adult oriented stream. We'll do all of that, and then just go from here on out. We'll do 2 hours of like rated R. So if you're into that, if you're interested in seeing that happen, head over to the Discord and vote, because that's your opportunity. So I'm just deer are brown. That's my knowledge of wildlife, I guess. Deer are brown. I didn't close in those antlers, so I'm gonna have to come like back over here, like so. Oops, this needs to go all the way around that antler. So just like that is fine. And then I want that brown back, but we're gonna darken it. You do the nose and the colored part of the eye. And then we'll come back to the very back of the eye and do a white and do this little reflecty bit. And then pupil. And actually, you know what I might do red in the reflecty bit. And while we're at it, we're just gonna do a red bow. Because again, he's at summer camp. So basically this deer is using like a Boy Scout bow. Which, by the way, would never be tied on the bow like this. They would have like a little prongs with the knot. Because I don't know, it might have what a lot of modern day Boy Scout bows have is they have like a thin notch part on the arm of the bow, and then they do like a loop on the bowstring with like a metal clippy to hold the loop on. Because we live in the darkest timeline. And dark brown hooves. I forgot to draw in the I forgot to draw in the camp symbol on the shirt. I'll have to go back and do that here in a little bit. But it is a camper, so campers wear green camper shirts. Taco Viking after dark. Let's go. So here's an actual true story behind why a section of the Discord and a section of my merch is called Back Alley. Way back in the day, Yeti Detective and I would be on Twitter, and we would legitimately have things that we would think of and we would want to send out, but we would know, like, you know, when you think of something, you're like, if people know I think these things, they're gonna put me in stocks and throw rotten fruit at me. You know, sometimes you think something like that. Everyone does, I'm sure. So when we did that, when that happened to one of us, we knew that we couldn't just share it with the public world with our own names attached to it. So we would DM each other with that message, and then like screenshot that, fuzz out the name and post the screenshot so that we would have plausible deniability as to which one of us actually said it. So he could always say, no, it wasn't me. He said that. And they were the thoughts that were way too terrible to share with like this is, you cannot share this with the public. Like, we're like, keep in mind, we still said some pretty terrible stuff. We still wrote the alcohologist books. So these were like truly bad things. And then we just called direct messages the back alley. So they're the back alley tweets. You know, they were stuff that like polite company couldn't get into. You had to go to the back alley for that. And then when we abandoned Twitter years and years and years ago, like way, way before everyone else did, you freaking Johnny-come-latelys. What we did was we created a Telegraph chat. And the Telegraph chat is called Back Alley Tweets. And so, like, basically for us, the term back alley has become synonymous with, like, stuff that polite company shouldn't be exposed to. And that's why the back alley is the adult section of my Discord, where you have to be, you know, like legitimately, it like asks you to verify that you're 21. And then there's just basically a version of the Discord, all the rest of the Discord there, that is for 21 and over. And on my website, there is merch that is hidden from the general website that is Back Alley merch. And basically, it's stuff that I've done. If I'm being completely honest, and I like being radically transparent and honest, it's stuff I've done at request of Yeti Detective. Because that dude's a freak. And my best friend. I'm not gonna lie. We're freaks. I could always say no to drawing some of the stuff he's asked me about, but I never would. So the Suck My Kong was done for him by request. Slut for Business ties are available on my website that I literally did a drawing of his face for. So, like, you know, if you were going to meet with potential investors and you wanted them to know that you're all about capitalism, you could get a Slut for Business tie and wear that to your important business meeting. And of course, the world famous Yeti Jazzini pasta t-shirts, I think, are self-explanatory as to who thought of those up. Oh, not deer, you are looking not like a deer, which is about perfect, right? Definitely the least cute of the campers. Okay. Boom! That is a finished not deer archer. I think one thing I'm going to do, though, I'm going to lighten these eyes up a lot so that they pop more. I want them to be obvious that they're on the same side of the head. Maybe how I do that, the best way to do that would also be to shade in some more of this side of the head. So. All right, and now I need to come to this line art layer and do So there's a little Camp Cryptid Creek logo on the t-shirt. There we go. Done. It's done. It's done, and we have about 40 minutes, 38 minutes left to this stream, which is plenty of time to do a wheel drawing. So let's real fast, let's recap our 6-pack of well, 5 in a logo. Our sticker pack here. Our first sticker was this Yetiling getting ready to go on a hike. Second sticker is Jackalope, who wanted to make you a friendship bracelet because they needed you to know that you are their best friend. But they ain't got no fingers. If you ain't got no fingers, you can't make no friendship bracelet, Jackalope. Jackalope was followed by the Loveland Frog, who's ready to go kayaking. And a Loveland Frog's just a humanoid frog. Real simple, cute little dude. He's gonna take you kayaking and not swallow you whole with his giant tongue. And then, of course, we have the Dover Demon going fly fishing with his cute little Nessie lure. And finally, we have just finished up the Not Deer Archer, just taking some target practice and having some fun. And of course, we've got our variant Taco Viking logo for the month, which I'm really digging. If I was a super wealthy man, and I'm very much not, I would take all of the Taco Viking logos and get enamel pin versions of them made. So yeah, that's our Camp Cryptid Creek sticker set. Oops. Cryptid Creek. Oh, and I guess it would be there we go. It would be wrong for me to leave without pointing out we also have the Cryptid Creek logo that we've drawn. So there we go. Guys, I'm gonna leave that turned on as I leave this file. For those of you who are curious as to why this tongue would possibly freak anyone out, I'll show you. Wow. So this is the drawing that is on my newest not safe for work piece, my newest back alley piece. This is just the drawing. This is it. There's nothing wrong with it. Let's open a new 4K file size. All right. And wheel of requests. Spin, spin, spin. Tell us the lesson, how to win. All right. So as of right now, the wheel of requests currently has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things on it, right? 3. Oh, it's reloading. Reload the wheel. Because the internet is running so slow for some reason, but only on browser windows. I don't know why that's up. What's up with that? I'm like looking at my bandwidth in OBS. It's like, you got 5,000 kbps. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 on here. So we've got Acorn Man's arch nemesis, the Villia Nutcracker. Sloth and a Hang Glider. Gucci Goo Goose. Goops, the untitled Goops game protagonist. Alien with a rainbow tractor beam bookmark. Actually, I drew that for myself off stream, so we only have 8 things on the list. Eldritch Taco. Bat Nap. I added Eldritch Taco at the beginning of the stream. More bats in general. Breaditarian. Breaditarian is one of the vendors at the C Street City Market with me, and I thought it would be fun to make some just like random like mascots based on the businesses around me, and the owner of Breaditarian absolutely loved the idea and volunteered to be the first one, so that's why they're on the list. So this is the wheel, and I'm going to spin it. Oh, and Breaditarian comes up.
Breaditarian.
That will make someone very, very, very happy. All right, get off my screen. Bloop, go away. So the actual thing, like what brought this particular thing up was when I did the Cake Pyre Records, the woman who owns the Breaditarian, Cherish, really liked it, liked some of the characters. And she thought it would be a great way, like her, because she makes bread. She's a baker. She makes bread. That's what she does. It's her business. And the idea of her business is a bread librarian kind of Breaditarian. Actually, I think Breaditarian is more like, I don't know. I've never actually asked her. I'm gonna have to look and see. Hang on. Instagram. I'm gonna pull up her Instagram feed. I'm gonna give a shout out to Cherish and delicious shower sourdough. You can get, she makes like scones that are an entire breakfast sandwich in a single scone. And they are amazing. I love them. I try to get them every time. She doesn't always make them. She doesn't always make the same stuff every week. So I'm always trying to get my hands on some breakfast scones. So I'm gonna look her up. Bread. So it is the _ Breaditarian. Which for some reason in my head has always been like the bread librarian, but is clearly a statement like a person who lives entirely off of bread. Like a vegetarian or an oxygenarian. Oxygetarian. Like this is a person who eats nothing but bread. So, still, we're gonna do this. It'll be fun. Is there a picture of? Yes. I was like, can I get a picture of Cherish on her Instagram? And I can. And she's a good character basis. So I think my thing here is I'm gonna make a bread person. So really, we're making a bread cannibal. So I'm gonna start with like mapping out a body. Oops. What do we want? Breatharian. Yeah, so in Kingdom of Loathing, in Kingdom of Loathing, when you eat certain foods or when you eat food or drink booze, you gain more adventures. And you spend adventures by doing things, obviously. And there are challenge modes. And one of the challenge modes is Teetotaler, where you're not allowed to drink booze. So you can't use booze to recover adventures. And the other one is like liquor or something. Like the word liquor is in there. And basically you can't eat food. And if you give up both, if you do the ultimate challenge of not having any way of recovering adventures, you're called an oxygetarian because you only live off of oxygen. So we'll do like oh. I'm not sure. I'm trying to really think this through because I want to do a good job. I want to do a good job for my friend. And naturally, I would make a giant scary monster. Let's see if I can just like we got what way of images that we can look at here. Because now that I realize, I definitely want to make a bread person, like a person made of bread. And the breaditarian is definitely a thing, that person that eats bread. So really, I want to make like a cannibalistic bread monster. I'm going to make a cannibalistic bread. It does not fit her business at all whatsoever. I guess one of the reasons I might have had this like idea of librarian in my head is because Cherish has like librarian vibes. Like as a person, she gives librarian vibes. Just very kind, helpful, calm person. So what if we do like, I'm a monster. Oh yeah. And here, holding another little bread person. No, don't eat me. Breaditarian. You're a bread kaiju. Bread kaiju. Yeah, this doesn't work with it just doesn't feel like I'm gonna draw Cherish as a bread person. That's what I'm gonna draw. That's what's gonna happen here. And if anyone thinks that's a bad idea, too bad for you. So we'll do like, she's a very tiny person. She's very small, very, very petite lady. And she's always cold. So like she hunches over a lot. So like in my head, she's got like a little hunch over action going. And then just the fuzziest sweaters. So we're gonna do like a little shoulder here. And holding a piece of bread. Like a baguette. I don't know. I'm really struggling with how to pull off bread kaiju. I would totally draw. Hang on. On the wheel of requests, I'm adding it in there. Bread kaiju. There, it's on the wheel now. We're doing it. Let's go. Maybe little hand wave. Bigger hand. Go like this. And she makes sourdough. It's all kind of roundy. Looking for a loaf of her bread I can use as kind of a reference image for the bread. So come back down like this. I'm going to put a curve to the body. I want a line of action. Come in like this. So like a little curve to our loaf of bread. like so. This is a face looking out of the bread. Bread face. Bread face. Like I said, we're going to do cozy sweaters. Like a nice thick cardigan. I don't know that I've actually ever seen Cherish wear a cardigan. But just the vibes. That's the right vibes. Big like cuff on the sleeve here. This again just super cozy. That's not quite what I'm looking for, although this is a real rough sketch, so I don't know why I'm so worried about it. And then maybe an arm coming across like this, holding some baguettes. I don't want to imply that the baguettes are the Cherish's little ones, but that would be funny. Cozy sweater. So some little things like that. And then just a little. I'm going to keep the line of action going. So. Cartoony kind of legs, maybe. Coming out like this. What Rodigan would call the swooshy. So that's a fun pose. And of course, this is a hand saying hi. Hi, I'm a nice person. Eat my bread. I'm definitely am a piece of bread. Also telling you to eat bread. It's cannibalism. Don't think about it too hard. Okay, so now let's see if we can't clean the sketch up some. Again, I'm just pulling up Cherish's Instagram and getting some reference images. So we'll start. I'm gonna do like a glasses out approach. Because Cherish wears these like pointy cat glasses. You know the style. I mean, they're cat glasses. So we'll come over here. I think hers are a little. We'll go down a little deeper, get a bigger eye. His bigger eyes are cute. That's the lesson we know, right? Like everybody's learned that by now, right? Bigger eyes are cuter eyes. And then we'll do a big smile. Bread doesn't need a nose. No nose for the bread. And like this. We'll give it lipstick. And all the straight teeth. Like so. Okay. And I'm going to come up. Like so. Just slices of bread. Like that. A little hint. Actually, we're going to need to move this face over. I'm done with the reference image now. Over here. Like there. So that this can be this like implied corner crease here. It'll come like this. down into the world's coziest cozy sweater. This is why I do weird experimentation with the Daily Zombie, is because I've drawn cozy sweater video. So I've got some experience drawing a cozy sweater. It got a little too cozy in the video. This sweater is too cozy. I actually had someone ask me recently if I do all of the voices in the zombie videos. And the answer to that is yes, I do. The exception being robot voice. And robot voice is voiced by an old Windows like live assistant voice to text voice generator. Like I don't know if anyone remembers Merlin, but Merlin was a little wizard that sat on your computer desktop, on your Windows computer. And didn't do much more than be a worse version of Clippy, but he had a pretty fun text to voice editor or generator that let him be fun to play with for an adolescent youth like myself at the time. Getting my computer to say things that I thought were funny just because a computer was saying them. Which I guess is not too terribly different than what I do now. But that's the robot voice is done through that. It's not, I was talking to someone, I was like, it's not an AI voice. It's just a voice to text or text to voice generator. And like the worst one I could find. I wanted it to sound so robotic. And old school robotic. I think that's why I chose that. There are a couple of voices that I have done where I manipulated my voice in Audacity after recording to do the voice. But other than the robot voices, it's all me, baby. And again, we're just going to come up here. I'm going to do a thumb. Just saying hi. How are ya? Come the bread. Won't you come eat the bread? It's okay. We don't mind being eaten. We're bread. It's kind of what we exist for. I know it's a lot harder to eat your food when you realize it's sentient. But all food is, so suck it up, human. Like, this is why you exist. Why we exist. Just eat us as bread. It's okay, I'm cozy. I got a cozy sweater. So, come eat the bread. And then I think, just for funsies, I'm going to give our bread person capris. Why? I don't know why. It just sounded like it would be fun. Sounded like, I feel like it's the right vibe. It might just be because my mom wears them a lot. But capris have like, give me mom vibes, I guess. And that's another, like Cherish has mom vibes. The Breaditarian as a business has mom vibes. And so we're going to do some mom vibes here. And then like Keds. Like Keds sneakers. That's the pattern I'm going for here. Just the feel. So not necessarily a depiction of reality, but like that's the feel I want. And then maybe I'll shrink this up just to give it a little more form in the body, a little less vagueness. Like this. There we go. There's our sketch of a Breaditarian. I think it actually turns out really cute. I think it's good. I think it's what I want. It's the right vibe. It's the right vibe. Vibes are a big deal. Like that's what matters. Remember, guys, vibes matter. All right, we're gonna start again with the glasses out approach. Worked well for us in the sketch, so we'll start there again. And I'm gonna make these a little more round this time. I don't know entirely. Like I think, actually, you know what? I think this should be pointed. Like these should be definitely cat eye glasses. And again, more vibes than actual drawing from our reference images here. Just like cat eye glasses definitely have more of a hip librarian vibe. There's nothing to say that librarians can't be cannibals, right? Like yeah, that's the stuff there. That's good. And actually, let's offset these pupils so it's like she's looking back, and that's too far. I'm actually doing this from way too zoomed in. So like we'll start there. That's and then turn these into full size. There we go. So it's like she's looking back at us, and their head's a little turned. And then over here, this should be the center point of the face. So need to draw that in like that. And then beep, 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 beep. This is not this okay, I gotta work on this mouth thing here. This abomination of a mouth. Just not even remotely what it needs to be. So we're gonna come back over into this layer here and redraw this brush. So we've got center line of the face here. So go like this. This is our roughly mapping out the face here real fast. That's all I'm doing. So eyes. Like this would be a nose. So this is now what do we call the teeth line? So this, except for this is not the right curvature because this is what's throwing because the head shape is no longer rounded the way we would think it is. So if this was like this, if this was a round head, then this would be the ear line. And this would come like this. And then our nose line would come into a little shape like this. So we would have basically with no mouthing, our mouth would come like this in a weird little cartoony way. So we need to take this and like that. That's not right either. It's because I screwed up the glasses. I've screwed up. Hang on. We gotta start all over here. Not all over on the ink. Let me do the mouth first. The glasses out approach has failed me in the inking phase. So we'll start here. And bring this down. Like this. And actually, you know what? That's too much teeth. That's too much teeth. That's creepy looking. We've passed into the creep zone from too much teeth. So we'll just do like that. Top layer of teeth only. And then normally I would have. Why did I bother grouping those? Oh, so that I could adjust all of their opacity at the same time. Normally we would have a nose here also. Right? Like there'd be a nose there to map these eyes to, like this. And that's fine. So without a nose, we have to pretend like there's a nose there. And pretend like our eye shape is still there. There. But I want to make the whole thing bigger. Like that. All right, let's see how that looks. Let's see how that works with ink. So we'll come in here and we're going to do like this. And then that. Okay, so actually, that should be on top. And then this side. What? Should come like this. Just working it out. Sometimes you got to work it out. Sometimes things get off and you just got to figure out how you want it to get you back. What direction you want to take to get back to where you were wanting to go. Because like the sketch wasn't bad. The sketch looked good, but I knew something was off in my heart. And now I figured out what it was. It was the face shape was like flat to something that should be curved or angled. And so that helped. I just sat down and remapped the face and it worked. I think it looks great now. So we'll come over here. Now we've got our box shape on the bread. And yeah. So come down. I need a reference image for cardigan color. You would think, as many cardigans as I have worn, I would have a good idea of how this should structure together. And I've got an idea for how this should structure together. But I want a better reference. So I'm going to come up here. Like this. We'll start with that. We'll start there. And then it's basically a collar, so like that. And the same over here. We'll come up like that and bring it in to there. Oh, dang it. So this is almost good. Almost good. This should come down farther on this side because it's the top layer. Sometimes you gotta figure it out. Do 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 do. While you draw. Boop boo doo doo. Alright, and then it would be like, uh-oh, hang on. Memory just hit. Important memory just hit. Women's buttons are on the opposite side. Women's buttons are on the opposite side of men's buttons. This is a deal. So this actually needs to come over here. Wah, 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 wah. That might have been the thing that was triggering in my head that something was wrong. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes your instincts are like, something's wrong here. Fix it. And you're like, I don't know what's wrong. What am I supposed to be fixing? And then boom, all of a sudden you're like, oh, the buttons are on the wrong side. That's why it's going all haywire in my brain freeze. And then we'll just do thumb. Grocery bag. I kind of want this grocery bag to seem a little more boxy. And then some baguettes. To my knowledge, Cherish does not sell baguettes, but that's okay. Baguettes are the universal symbol for bread. Maybe bring this box down, this bag down like this. This is good. This is good. Now I'm back on track. Feeling good in the neighborhood. All right, now I'll do finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, back to the wrist. And whomp. All right, now sweater cuff, sweater cuff, like so. Right there. There we go. There. I look at something like this. I want to take a moment. This is maybe not necessarily like the best, greatest thing I've ever drawn, but I really like it. I think it's good. And I wanted to take a moment to step back and go, there's a lot of things that I took for granted in drawing this image, like the shape of this elbow here. I just did it. I feel really good about that because this is like one of those things where I'm looking at it and going, oh, that's where I've grown in the last year. When I look at something I did a year ago, I might have been able to do some of these shapes and things, but I had to really think them through and like really draw a lot of understructure before I could get to it. So I'm very proud of the way this is turning out, as easily to me as it's turning out, like how these shapes are coming to me. Like that's one of those things I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate for myself, to feed my gratitude, if you will. It's important to celebrate when we have these little milestones and bring them into attention to ourselves, because a lot of the times as creatives in whatever field we're working in, rather than seeing our progress, we only see how far we have left to go. And that's not healthy for us. Like, that doesn't help us appreciate. Like, you can get depressed and burnt out that way. So I just wanted to give myself a little moment of tooting my own horn, because I'm really, really proud of the growth there. And I know I've got a long ways to go. There's a lot of stuff I see that is wrong with this image, this illustration also. Like, from my critical mind, my studying art, I love the little milestones, right? You gotta celebrate them. And like I said, there's plenty of still here that my critical mind that has been doing master studies still sees as big issues. But I wanted to take a moment and remind myself to be proud of what I have accomplished in 1 year of dedicated growth, and go, so let's look forward to see what I could do in 5 years, 10 years. Who knows where I'll be. But I'm really happy. And also, this totally has the vibe I wanted it to have. I have seen you grow since I have been watching you. Thank you. I feel like along those lines, like, there's some stuff that I had really been struggling with and practicing my butt off on, and felt like I wasn't getting. Like, I just wasn't grokking it. And recently, some of those things, I've just been feeling like I've started to grok them in a way that I was really struggling to come up with before. So here recently, I feel like I'm in one of those places. Sometimes also, like, when you're working on a skill, and any skill, but when you're working on a skill like illustration, you have little growth every day, right? Like, you have these little 1% improvements every single day. And those are awesome. Those are like the bread and butter of growing. And then you'll hit a point where, like, all of those little 1%s have snowballed and just like explode into like a little talent boost. Like, you get a little level up moment in your skill. And so it's like, you have this little bit of progress where if you look every day's image, you feel like you haven't really done anything. And then all of a sudden, like, one day it all pops together and it is a huge giant growth all at once. And we shouldn't like try to rely on that big giant growth, but it's nice when it's there, when you can go, oh yeah, I just hit one of those places where a thing I was trying to do became consistently the way I wanted it to be. And I feel like right now in particular, I'm in one of those places in my art. And part of that has been just dedicating myself to a specific style and trying to learn as much about it as I can, doing some like actual studies and fan art type stuff again, and really focusing in on the learning aspect, as opposed to just like copying someone else's work, I guess. Figuring out, I feel like lately I've been figuring out why decisions are made so that I can make them myself, rather than just like knowing that that's the decision that gets made. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's where I'm at. That's what it feels like right now for me. So like, for example, these lines for sliced bread, I'm going to come in here and put in just like 3 of them, because I feel like those 3 lines are enough to imply that this is a piece of bread. Like, the subtlety level is something I'm starting to learn how to do better. So there we go. There's my Breaditarian. I think it looks pretty good. I think it came out pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and color it in before we call it a stream. I know it's after 10, but I'm fine. I don't got anywhere to be. I think I'm going to go with a green cardigan. It was also pointed out to me that I use green a lot in my art, and I was like, well, it is my favorite color. Like, and it works for a lot of the stuff I work on. And then we'll do like blue jeans, and I need like a crusty brown, like kind of a golden brown crust tone for this bread, like so. And so like with this character, I'm like, green works for this character. Pink would also work really well. Actually, let's go with a pink cardigan. I've done a lot of green. I made the t-shirts for Camp Cryptid Creek green, so I could work a lot of green into the theme for June. So we'll go with pink here, and then I can also do matching pink shoes. Pink is also just feels like a very cherished vibe color. And then we're gonna grab this brown, and I'm actually going to bring it more yellow for these pieces of bread over here, and more dark brown for the bag. We'll do the exact same color for the lipstick and the glasses, just because when working on a thing like this, simplification is best, trying to minimize the number of colors that you use. I know that's not my normal forte, but like that's how logo design should be done. And then that's are gonna be our flats. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna keep it basically neutral and just use a standard 80% zero saturation shading. And I'm gonna try to keep it real simple on the shading. I always say that. I always say I'm gonna try to keep it simple. I'm not good at simple. Just like real basic is actually what I think I'm gonna going for. Not so much simple as basic. Like the obvious points. You know, the underside of the hand, the outside of the wrist, wrinkles in the clothing, that sort of thing. But thank you for like saying that you've noticed it too, because I'm glad that you've been here, being part of that growth, helping me practice and encouraging me to keep going when the jerk brain sometimes kicks in and gets a little too rambunctious around here. Starts building its little jerk brain bridge. I owe that a lot of that to you. I go as complicated as I can with literally everything. So that was a thing for I'm gonna be real, like genuine, like a part of my art struggle journey here. And this is actually like a long time ago, so it's not really super relevant to me anymore, but it still can be. I am a line art guy. I mean, I'm an illustrator. I do illustrations and cartoon illustrations for a reason. I see lines and things really easily. I think it's because my eyes don't work that great. And so like it hyper focuses on the lines, because otherwise everything I see just kind of blurs into one big goopy blob. So like it's my body has trained itself to pay more attention to lines. But what that meant was when I used to draw in high school a lot, and I drew the ballpoint pen and had no idea of how to do line weights or anything like that. I had no skills at the time. It was a completely untrained thing I would do in class, and I would draw my friends. And because I see the lines, like my eyes hyper focus on the lines, I just drew whatever I saw. I was trying to draw basically photorealism. And so I drew every little line on their faces. And all of my images, regardless of the fact that I was drawing like 15s and 16-year-old kids, came out looking like old people because I could see every possible wrinkle on their face. And it was like a thing. Like they were like, hey, you want to know what you'll look like when you're old? Have Matt draw you. And that was like a struggle for me in the simplification of you don't have to draw all those lines. And as I've been trying to learn to be a better cartoonist, because that is, I've gone from thinking of myself entirely as a doodler or even as an illustrator to specifically trying to think of myself as a cartoonist. Although honestly, doodler keeps cranking back in just because doodle is such a fun word to say. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. The big thing with cartoons is that they are the art of simplification of shape. The entire idea of cartoons is to abstract. So it's something I've really had to start making a priority in my practice. And I'm still learning, still getting there. But yes, I have the natural implication to overcomplicate, especially my line art specifically. And I'm learning to not do that. I'm training myself to not overcomplicate, to full on simplify. Like literally one of the exercises that I like went out and like researched how to do, or found a teacher taught this exercise on how to do simplification. I've worked it into the daily zombie. So the exercise is to like minimize the face shapes needed to have an expression. So like the idea being like, that's a smiley face, right? So that's all you need. So like I have worked in daily zombie does not have eyebrows, doesn't have a brow. All of the shaping of emotion comes from the mouth and eye shapes, so that I can focus in on just like if the eyes are shaped like this and the mouth like this, he's angry. But like if the eyes are shaped like this and the mouth is like this, that's happy. So I've actually purposely worked simplification of facial features, of emotions, into the daily zombie to help me as part of my practice on simplification. And I think it's working. I think it's a good, like, it also makes it fun to draw the daily zombie's face. Just in general. So here's what I just realized is that I had angled this face on this piece of bread, this bread loaf, with the intention of having the right hand side shaded, and then I shaded from the right, for the light source from the right to the left. So I screwed up how I wanted to shade the face. to give that emphasis of that angle. And I don't know how I'm going to fix that yet. I might be able to get away with it as it is, actually. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get away with it as it is. Maybe not. Maybe what I needed to... Oh, yeah, that's it. Come up here. Yeah. Oops. Not on that layer. On that layer. There we go. That is what I needed. Just like that. I'm actually going to come in here with the brush that has the smoothing turned on to give a nice smooth curve on that chin. There we go. This is our Breaditarian. I think it's great. I think it has exactly the vibes that it needed to have. I think it looks somewhat like if Cherish got turned into a loaf of bread. So, you know what? Come by the C Street City Market tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you have not yet picked them up, I will have some relaxed mimic stickers. Let me get in here into my trove. Some relaxed mimic stickers will be available. I got 50 more to give away. Those will be available tomorrow night. And while you're there, swing by Cherish's table and get your hands on some tasty sourdough. Like I said, I think she definitely had breakfast scones on Saturday. I nommed 4 of them because I'm a fatty. So you want to come get those. They're delicious. They're amazing. Her bread sells out actually pretty regularly. So come get some delicious bread. And then of course you can come see me. You can get yourself a relaxed mimic. Maybe you want to get a sticker, like a greeting card that's a little more risque, like more like Gandalf for Daddy's Day. Or maybe you want someone to know that you want them to share a home with you. That's what this is about. You want them to share a home. Ask them to move in. And of course, you can tell them how you really feel. Excuse me. Suddenly dried out. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate you being here. I will be back on Saturday at 8 p.m. And it sounds like there might be a possibility of, again, at 10 p.m., that stream going for 4 hours. We'll do a double down stream. And we'll get a little freaky up in here. Thank you for watching. Go forward into the world and stay persistent in your pursuit of your creative dreams. Stay cool as a cucumber and the far side of the pillow. But most importantly, remember as always to stay weird. I've been Matt Brotherton. You've been the most awesome audience anyone could ever ask for. I'll see you next time. Good night.